Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. My name's Jeff, and I'm starting a Star Wars channel. I've been meaning to do this for a few months now, uh, ever since The Last Jedi and the backlash to the backlash. I feel like it's just time to set the record straight on a few things and to speak for the fans. The disenfranchised fans who are being labeled unfairly. So, I've started this channel, Rebel Allegiance. Welcome to my mission statement, or Episode 0. So, what's the problem with Star Wars exactly? What's going on? People got more excited for more Star Wars to come out, and then it did. And then people got less excited because of what happened. Rehashed plots, the whole EU being thrown out and unused, new stories being released with rehashed plots from the EU that they don't even know they're ripping off of, build up with no release, pent up frustration, unfulfilled expectations, misfires, loads of current day political allegory, flops, reshoots, directors switched mid production, divisiveness amongst fans and critics, internet trolling of actors and creators, internet trolling of fans who are giving legitimate criticism and complaints over an intellectual property. The idea of an intellectual property being used as a platform like Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. An intellectual property isn't a platform, and if you can't tell the difference, stay tuned. I'll make a video on that. So, name calling, alienation of upset fans, sexism, racism, misogyny, words being thrown around. People are being very critical. There's current day tribalism and identity politics. There's this idea that Star Wars isn't for everyone. There's exclusiveness and tribalism, and it's becoming more and more divisive every day. It's a reflection of current day identity politics. Wookiees and Trandoshans living together. What's the galaxy coming to? So, what I think is really going on here is that they got Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy was in charge of Lucasfilm. Disney purchased it, thinking that it would be another cash cow the way Marvel has been for them. So, what's going on? How did this happen? Where did this all come from? How did we get to this point? What does the future hold? With the Rise of Skywalker release just 3 days away, we'll see how they decide to wrap up, or should I say mop up, the mess that they've made. So, the question that I want to ask is, do the fans have any say? Can we make our voices heard? Use our power to shape and influence something we all feel like we have ownership of? Well, that's what I intend to find out. So, you might ask, what are my qualifications? Am I part of the Access media? Do I work in the film industry? Well, the answer to both of those questions is no. But I can tell you that I am self described as a nerd. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan. I'm a fan of the EU. I've read hundreds of comics and books that were part of the old expanded universe before it got decanonized. I am a person that goes to the movies. I see movies. I also went to school for art, for illustration. And while I was getting a liberal arts education, I learned a lot about critical theory and analysis. Also, I work in IT. I use complex systems day to day. More or less, I'm a nerd. And from one nerd to another, you're going to hear authentic opinions, and I'm going to back them up with facts and citation and sources. And I'm going to clearly say when I'm giving my opinion and when I'm speculating. So basically, I'm a fan. Some people might call me a toxic fan, but I don't think I am. I'm married, I have a wife and a daughter. The two people I love most in the world are my wife and my daughter. So I don't know about all this sexism and misogyny that they keep throwing around to describe us. I would say that I am critical that I am intelligent, that I am passionate, that I feel a sense of ownership over Star Wars. So basically, I'm a fan. If you want to call me a toxic fan, fine. But in this case, I would say toxic is an acronym for truthful, observant, excited, intelligent, and critical. So, yeah, as a fan, I have a better understanding of what intellectual properties that I am interested in and a fan of are made up of, what their components are, and what they should be, and what they're not, and what they shouldn't be. The reason for that is that while sometimes creators will grow and change and their perspectives will shift, uh, and it might evolve, or in the case of Star Wars, the ownership and the creatives in charge of it might be handed from one group or people team to another. So creators change, um, as in sometimes the creator of a work changes as they progress in life, and other times there are a change of hands for who owns the intellectual property. So fans, though, they understand what something is and should be based on the zeitgeist of what it is and was at the time of its creation and how it impacted them. Because they are not the owners of the IP, they can look at it more objectively than people who might have an agenda to sell tickets, sell toys, make money, push political ideology. We can take a step back and we can look at the real world narrative that's influencing the creation of our favorite fan IPs. Whew. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say next. So, yeah, in some cases, fans understand something better than the creator. In the case of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, this is blatantly apparent. What I think is happening is that fans, intelligent fans, understand the agenda and the parameters and the circumstances around which episodes 7, 8, and 9 and the other Kathleen Kennedy produced Star Wars films are being composed in. But the creators of those films, excluding Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and their team on The Mandalorian, which has done nothing but great work, they don't understand us, their fans. More or less the stakeholders who will be buying the product or the service that they're creating when they create these movies and tell these stories, whether it be animation, live action film, or TV, books or comics, or video games. So, the reason I'm making these videos is to help give fans a little bit of justice. To try and help make it so that the people who are in power at Lucasfilm can hear the voice and get the pulse of the fans, how we think, what's going on in our head, how we feel, what our tastes are, what resonates about Star Wars to us and with us, what we want to see continue with it, what we don't want to see continue with it. Understanding the fans will help you to understand the intellectual property. As in order to be a fan of something, the intellectual property has to resonate with you in some level. For it to resonate with you on some level, there has to be something about you that connects with something about it. And so if you're not connecting with your fan base, you're not really connecting with its intellectual property, especially if you're using an existing intellectual property to tell new stories. It's a totally different thing if you're creating something from scratch. And I'm not really going to scratch the surface of that. So, the question I am going to ask is, what do Star Wars fans tell us about Star Wars and what it is? Well, I'm glad you asked, or I should say I'm glad I asked. I'm going to get into that in the next video where I talk about the fractured fandom, the fandom menace, the casual fans, the media shills, fans of The Last Jedi and the Disney Star Wars, fans of the old expanded universe, fans of the classic trilogy that don't like the prequels. There's a whole lot of divisions and a whole wide variety of what it means to be a Star Wars fan. I'm going to try and crack that nut. Until then, may the Force be with you.